Hi, everyone. We would like to make this short video to share some practical fourth way exercises related to the bringing more awareness to the activity of the motor moving center. As we are going to in the next few months, take each center one by one. So the purpose of all of these exercises, but in particular about the exercise we are going to share today, the purpose is multifold. One is to simply become more aware of what the moving center is doing. Very often, our moving center is just happening automatically by itself with very little attention. It's on autopilot, yeah? And usually this same autopilot state happens internally with our mind stream and reactivity and all of that. And it's a good way to start observing our body-mind or observing the functioning of the machine. It's a good entry level to observe, to start observing the activity of the moving center. And then we progress towards the observing the activity of the instinctive center, the emotional center, the intellectual center. So is to disrupt this state of being that the machine is in autopilot, and nobody home, and this is happening. Yeah. Another purpose is to simply, as we observe the activity of the moving center, we'll notice some kind of what's called the wrong work of centers, meaning that it's happening in sleep automatically, it's leaking energy, it is useless. So part of bringing awareness to the moving center will just be more aware, more awake, but also we will notice some wrongdoings, so to say, that will help us to be more awake and will help us in the long run that the center starts to be more balanced and working harmoniously as a useful part of a whole. So to just get into it, 2 practical exercises for the week. One of them is to use it as an alarm clock or have as a small aim to be very present to the moments when we put our shoes on and take our shoes off when we come back home. So to be aware there, to be there, not thinking about other things or past or future, and especially to be there and intentional when taking the shoes off and putting them neatly in their right place, whatever that place is, rather than tossing them or just take one shoes here and one there as we go to the bathroom. So being aware of, also part of this exercise is being aware of, as we get dressed, we put our clothes on and take our clothes off when we come home in the evening or whenever we come. And part of this exercise is to be there and intentional, more like it's almost like a slight ritual or like a Zen moment to take the jacket and really put it there consciously on the hanger, or take the pants and fold them or put them wherever we put them, rather than leaving them random scattered throughout the house. So that is one of the exercises. Usually this happens, we do this automatically. Nobody's home. We are in imagination. We are rehashing the day. And then there's this autopilot state. And also often, many of us, we have this idea that, well, it doesn't matter. It's just clothes. And basically it does matter. It does matter if the house is in disarray and messy and things are all over the place. That creates this sense of chaotic internal environment. So by bringing intentionality to this external environment, this actually brings a sense of beauty and also a sense of bringing some order to the chaos, which in some way will match the internal world as well.
I can add there the quote from Meher Baba, which is so beautiful and practical. And he said, Meher Baba, the Indian teacher from the 20th century, said, the observance of external cleanliness brightens to an extent the internal life. So when we're not trying to be obsessive, this isn't about developing obsessive compulsive disorder. This is about being intentional for the sake of using attention, the control of attention, to help us come back to focused awareness. And so we can use our external environment, and by making it neat and orderly, not in a compulsive, extreme way, but in a cleanly, orderly, harmonious way, this will reflect on us internally, and it will help attention gather itself and point itself more vividly toward its source in awareness. This is why we're doing all of these exercises. We're not doing them for themselves as an end in themselves. We're doing them as the means to an end. And the more we understand this, that they're a means to an end, and the means is controlling attention in the moment. The end is awareness, becoming more conscious, us being more consciously aware as we go through our day.
Yeah, and breaking down this controlling attention as a means to be more conscious, we can break this down as having more frequency of being conscious. And as we have more and more frequency, then this frequency becomes duration. So just longer periods of the short moments tying together. And gradually we can live like this, and it's no longer a practice. It's a way of living consciously.
It's almost like swimming. If we were swimming in the ocean, we're swimming from one buoy or to one life ring after another. And we come to one, and it's putting our shoes carefully with attention in the closet. And then we have to swim the next few moments to the next occasion we have related to an exercise like this. And now we hold on to that buoy, and we gradually make our way toward awareness more and more clearly, more and more vividly, by means of these little practices.
Mm-hmm. So the second exercise, these are related to the moving center. The second exercise is to become more aware of what our hands are doing. Our hands are doing a lot of stuff all day, every day, helping us. They're little cranes or little tools. And again, we are not present there knowingly. So the exercise is to be present to when we pick up things and we put down things. You know, pick up your cell phone, you put it in the pocket. So somehow have an intention to be more aware in these small inconspicuous moments when there's nothing mystical happening, nothing special state. It's just taking the keys, putting the keys, opening the door, closing the drawer, even what the hands are doing, touching themselves or touching other parts of the body. It's almost awaken their hands. Of course, it's awareness that is aware, but bringing this sense of awareness, and as if you are almost like an alien consciousness from another dimension, and suddenly got into this body and is not taking this for granted, and it's like fresh, even touching the texture. So again, bring awareness to it, and also being intentional. I mean, I notice in myself often I come and I put the keys here and the phone there, and then I don't know where I put the phone, and I was distracted. So this is, awakening or spirituality. There's a tendency to have this like a special time. I'm going to a satsang, or I'm going to a retreat, I'm going to a Monday meeting. There's some special moments that are juicy and special, but actually that's the awakening is moment by moment, bringing awareness to everyday, seemingly unimportant, boring moments. and making them sacred. Yeah. And variation or part of this exercise is to also notice this. We often, I have this, but other people have this too. There's a tendency of the hand to, touch the head. So notice
And the
and
face.
the face, the head and the face, the beard, the nose, the ear, and we are not aware of it. Usually, if we film yourself, you see how you touch your face many times, depending on the type. So the exercise is to just for a week or so to refrain from doing that. Refrain from doing that. But why? Just to introduce as a shock to really, you will see how often we are not there. We're not, you've done it and we're not there. And actually, you can use whenever you catch yourself, you touched it, don't beat yourself up. Don't, you just, you use this alarm clock to be more present. Or you catch yourself in a moment of doing it, or you catch yourself afterwards. So just using that as a reminder. Now there's the issue of, okay, well, it's itching. So I need to do it. And this is interesting because all of these itches are sensation and they are arising and passing. And it's an interesting exercise sometimes to just not scratch it and see what happens. But we don't want to be extreme here now. So if it's itching, we can have this thing to really kind of slow it down or to scratch it consciously. And this reminds me of a story from apparently Buddha. Buddha was giving a sermon to his students, and as he was talking, there was a fly, and he just did like this, or the fly came on him and he did like this. And after about 15 seconds later, he did like this again, but there was no fly. And one of his disciples noticed that, and they said, "Awakened one, why you did this and then you did it again and there's no fly?" And Buddha said, "Well, the first time, yeah, it was the fly and I did it, but I wasn't really fully conscious of this hand movement. So second time, I just wanted to do it consciously." So that's yeah. And if you can speak, Peter, you were just sharing with me this wonderful exercise about as we catch ourselves with how to extend this kind of exercise.
Yes, well, it's similar to Buddha's story, the story of Buddha, I should say. And that is, for example, if you come into the house and you take off your shoes and you just kick your shoes off, and then you start to walk away, and then you realize you had been asleep in that moment. You had forgotten the exercise, and you had just kicked off the shoes. It can be very helpful to actually go back, put your shoes back on right then, and then take them off again intentionally and put them away. And then resume your duty, but not to just abandon, say, "Oh, well, I forgot to do it," and keep going. Sometimes this can be as powerful, if not more powerful, than doing, let's call it doing the exercise perfectly, where every time you come in and you manage to put your shoes away carefully. Sometimes failing to do it and then correcting it right there, right then, bringing consciousness or conscious awareness focused to that return, you could say you're kind of returning back to the moment where you were asleep, and you're trying to redo the moment while you're more awake. This has a powerful effect, and will then this, as we said earlier, these are a means to an end. And the end is, which is the beginning and the end, is being present to what we're doing. And the same thing can be true with our hands, just as Mihai said in that wonderful story. Or if you close a door, you try to close the door and feel your hand on the door. We're trying to be aware of what our hands come into contact with. And you feel you close the door and you realize, and you walk away and you realize, oh, I kind of slammed the door and I didn't feel my hand. We can go right back in that moment. Do it all over again. Feel the handle, feel the hand. Because the hands are not conscious by themselves. And it's almost like a little miracle when we bring awareness, really focused awareness and attention to our hands and feel what they're touching and feel how they operate as these beautiful little machineries we have. They're extraordinary. And we enliven the hand. Our consciousness gives life to the movement of the hand, which is far different than when the hand just is operating all by itself. So this is a wonderful interchange between the operation of our centers, in this case, the moving center, and consciousness. And the fourth way is involved with this interweaving of consciousness and what's called functions, or consciousness and the manifestation, the behavior of our four centers, and how they can operate together and actually benefit each other. And again, that's what these exercises are for, to bring all of our actions, behavior, movements closer to consciousness, and to bring consciousness, to infuse more consciousness in our movement.
Yeah, so this is for gradually having a more awakefulness in everyday life, more awakefulness. So it's all for self-remembering.
And it's not, we don't want to become a robot. We're not trying to become robotic with all our movements. That would be using it as a means in itself. And then it would be giving the appearance of being more conscious. I'm now being very intentional and careful with all of my movements. That's not the point. Our movements can still be quite fluid and quite natural, and we can remain conscious while the hands and arms are doing what they need to do. So this is not about control of our movements. It's about harnessing attention so as to create an environment internally that's conducive to awareness, being more awake, being more conscious. And so
and that in itself also, that's more like it's not the end of the road. Being more present to what the hands are doing, being less in imagination, in daydreaming, this is what is called a good level of mindfulness. Instead of being checked out, I'm aware of my hands, I'm aware of where the mind goes. So this so-called mindfulness is not the end. It's not the idea to be very mindful all the time, lots of mindfulness. It's not about that. Is that basically, as there is more so-called awakefulness in the system, now things like the self-inquiry or the direct path, all of these things where we are supposed to encourage to investigate the nature of this aware being, and to investigate, what am I? Is this being limited? Is it male, female, somehow real self-exploration, consciousness exploration? Well, that is total fiction, and we are deluding ourselves that we are doing that if actually we don't have as a foundation this overall more present, more conscious. So we need to go through the station more present to the present before we can investigate the nature of the presence. So these two, be aware of taking shoes off, doing intentionally, consciously, putting the shoes on, getting dressed, getting undressed, and be intentional where you leave them, and use some refining of your environment, and treat this moment as if it's your last. There was a Zen master saying that treat each day as if it's your last day. This is not a practice for something else. Yeah, and very much related is be aware what the hands are doing, what the hands are touching, and then refrain from scratching or touching the head or the face. If you do it, you can delay it or use it as an alarm clock to have more frequency of remembrance. And whenever you do this, this is the initiating of a conscious effort, and try to let this linger. Actually, that's the thing. It's not like, oh yeah, I've done it good. No, just you are aware of the touching of the taking of the shoes, and then continue to remain as present as you can. All right, everyone. So look forward to hearing your observations, and we'll continue with this each week with different centers. Good luck.